there, it's Anna. So I'm in the kitchen today because I wanted to talk a little bit about cooking with smaller garden harvests. So if you're like me and you have a small garden, you probably end up with this situation that I'm in right now where I just harvested 2 peppers and an eggplant. Like, this is my garden harvest today. And it can be a little tricky because sometimes, you know, things like that like you can't make a full meal out of it, right? Like, this isn't very much, but it's also delicious homegrown food that I really want to make sure I utilize and maximize. So over this summer, I'm definitely going to be sharing a lot of the menus that I'm making with my small harvest. I thought it'd be kind of fun to just take you along with what I'm making so that you can kind of get some ideas. I'd love if you share in the comments things that you love to make with your little harvests. And yeah, we can just kind of find inspiration because I'm always looking for things to do with these little bits of food. So let's get into what I'm going to be making today. So tonight I'm actually making kind of like a Mexican bowl, I guess is the best description of it. So I'm going to have rice and beans, probably some corn and maybe a little salsa in there and just kind of mix it up with cheese. And I'm going to be cooking up some ground beef, and that's where I'm going to utilize these 3 things. So actually I took a bite out of this pepper because I wanted to taste it, and then someone else in the garden, some pest got into this eggplant. So hopefully most of this is salvageable, but we'll kind of see how that goes as I get into it. These are jalapenos, but this is, I think it's called culado. It's a heatless jalapeno. So it has the flavor of jalapeno without the heat. And if you've been around here, you know that I have a toddler, so heatless is good for me. So what I'm going to do with these is actually just add them into my ground beef that I'm cooking up tonight to put in these kind of bowls, kind of like a Chipotle bowl or something like that. And that's a great thing to do with squash. I like to add them kind of like into tomato sauces. I'll probably show you that later on in the season when I start harvesting squash. But with an eggplant, it's kind of similar to my mind, kind of like a mushroom. You know, you can add mushrooms into ground beef to kind of, you know, just add different depth of flavor, get some veggies in. And I feel like eggplants are a similar, I don't know, they're just a similar kind of texture and flavor profile that they work to be added into ground beef. So especially if you've just like grown eggplants and you're like, what do I want to do with an eggplant? Because I don't know, I don't really eat a lot of eggplants, only when I grow them in the garden. That is something you can definitely do. Add them into ground beef, both in like tomato sauces, you know, where you might have like a ground beef in your tomato sauce, or in something like this, like, you know, Mexican bowl. So let me get the other ingredients and then I'll show you how I'm making that, that ground beef. Simplicity and convenience are big for me. So I'm going to be adding into the ground beef just this taco seasoning. I just usually get like it's Old El Paso brand taco mix. You know, it has all the like chili powder and those kind of things, but I just find this is easiest, but you could definitely make your own with pepper and chili powder and those kind of things. And I'm gonna start by chopping up this eggplant and getting it going in the pot first because it's gonna have a bit more water content and I wanna let it really cook down so that it blends better with the ground beef, I guess. Now, these I could save for 2 purposes. I think I might use one as a garnish because that would be, you know, perfectly delicious on top of this kind of style bowl, you know, peppers, and these taste just kind of like a nice, like, I guess like a green pepper, but just amped up because they've got that little bit of jalapeno flavor without the heat. But then I'm also going to chop up one and add it into the ground beef as well. And I'm just going to cook it alongside the eggplant so that they're both really cooked down. With the ground beef, I'm also going to chop up a little red onion. I'm going to grab that out of the fridge here. A little red onion. I'm just going to chop up a little bit of that and then put it in the pan. Okay, so I will say that the smaller that you dice something like this, the easier it is going to kind of blend in with the meat that you're cooking. So it depends a little bit on how much of that eggplanty sort of flavor you want. I'm gonna go pretty small here. And I am leaving the peel on because it doesn't really bother me, especially this style. I think this is like called an Ichiban, I'm not quite sure, style eggplant. It doesn't have quite as intense of a thick skin as like some of those big, you know, like the Black Beauties and those really like big style eggplants that you see at the grocery store. If you were wondering why this is so little, I didn't harvest it early. That's just the variety of eggplant that it is. It makes kind of like the long skinny eggplant. That's just the style. So I am going to, yep, just dice that up like that. I'm gonna turn on, move you over a little bit, turn on the heat here. And I'm gonna get a little bit of olive oil going in this pan on, I would say, kind of like medium, high, medium, high heat. And then we'll put the eggplant in. You could certainly put in like some garlic, but because I have that taco mix, I don't think garlic is gonna be necessary. I'm going to chop up this jalapeno as well and get that going into the pan. I'll move you over a little bit. I'm not gonna put the seeds in, even though, again, we're not worried about the heat with these. I just don't want an absolute ton of seeds in my, my meat. So we'll put this in there. And then I'm gonna chop up a little bit of onion. This is kind of, depends on how much onion you like. I personally am not a huge fan of onions, so I don't mind a little bit for flavoring, but I am not looking to make this just super oniony. I did not really get onions going in my garden this year. It would be super fun to get some next year, maybe. One of these days I'll have a real onion harvest from the gardens, but right now just a red onion works. Put that in there. Get it cooking until it starts to really get transparent. And I'm just stirring this pretty consistently just to make sure nothing burns and make sure that the onions really cook down. I just want all these flavors to kind of cook together. I'm just gonna keep an eye on it for the next few minutes. The eggplant is starting to get tender and all the onions. I could probably cook it down even more if I wanted to, but I think that's gonna be good for right now. And then I'm just gonna add in some ground beef. And I'm just gonna brown this in here with all of it. Okay, so as you can see now, the ground beef has cooked down and the eggplants, the peppers, everything are really cooked in there. I'm gonna add this taco seasoning according to the directions. Again, you could totally make your own with like garlic powder and you know, chili powder and all the things. I just find this super easy. Stir it in. Probably would want to add like a little cumin, you know, those kind of spices. Just gonna stir it in and then I will add it to our bowls with, as I said before, like rice and beans and corn and all that good stuff. I'm going to try to get organized enough to get this all written down in a recipe format. I don't have my full, like, the recipe cards and everything right now on the website, but I will try to write this down for you just in a blog post so that if you want to just have like a written version, I know that especially with recipes, that can be really helpful. So I'll try to get that there, and I'll try to put it in the description of this video as well so that you have that to reference. But as I said, I'm gonna keep doing these videos. If you like them, please let me know to share what I'm cooking with these different little harvests that we get out of the garden, and take you along with some yummy ways to eat these foods. It's gonna be so much better because it has those homegrown veggies in it. Not only is it gonna be better for us, it's gonna taste better, and it's just fun to know that we're using something out of the garden. Anyways, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.